Perfection, the condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. But like proving yourself to other people, like how has that been like an issue for you? Or I don't even know what you want to call it, if it was an issue or not.
Oh yeah, it was definitely an issue. Um, I felt it more when I was in college because there was a title that I was trying to uphold for a year, and I had this image in my head of what I thought it should be.
God rested on the Sabbath day. And it was like, what's God's definition of perfection? And I was really thinking about that. Like, his definition of perfection, I believe, is be ye perfect, for I am perfect. Matthew 5:48.
I've struggled with that one.
Well,
Oh
here's
my
the thing.
gosh.
Understanding what perfection really is to God means maturity, wholeness, and reflection of God's creation or God's character. But yeah, like when to finish. And I think that was something else that I was thinking about when I create something, like when to stop
Yeah.
and not just keep going and keep going and keep going. Like, do you ever feel like you've not known when to stop? Or you was like, I ain't got no problem with that?
Yeah, with songs of creating music.
Welcome to another session of Strategies for Creatives. My name is Chris Branham, and today I got a special guest. Me and my wife will be sitting down, Kristen Branham, to talk about our perspective, creativity, and being perfect. Let's brainstorm. Topic of discussion for today. When people think they're perfect and you know you're not,
When people think you're perfect.
what did you think? What would you thought it was the other way?
No.
What, is that right?
Wait.
I just want to make sure that's
You
what you
said
got.
when people think they're perfect, meaning when
No, when people think you're
you're
perfect.
perfect. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like you.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think you're perfect,
Yeah.
and you know you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not perfect, babe.
No, not at all.
Okay. So how this all came about was, I don't know. I don't even know where this came about. Um, what were we talking about?
You had brought some topics to me, and I was like, that.
Stop it! Stop it!
Good Lord.
Wow. Wow. When you own two pit bulls, I don't want to say own. When they're a part of your family
There you go.
and they don't know how to relax, sit there. Um,
They do when they only want to,
when they only want
but they're
to.
not perfect.
Yeah, but they're not perfect either, obviously. Um, yeah, I think it came about. I was thinking about perfection, and what's funny is you brought it to my attention when I was setting everything up with these microphones. Trying to get them perfect. Some about setting up monitors and interfaces. Like I've done stuff before with audio, and I've been doing audios. I want to say like 10 or 15 years, live. So live production, mostly churches, and it's very interesting because you want everything to be perfect, only because you don't want to have to do it again and go back and edit and overdubs and copying and pasting different wave tracks. So I was trying to get it all perfect. It was not working. I think I was down here for about 15, 20 minutes before you got home. And it was just like tough. And then you came in, hey, babe, what's going on? Everything okay? Can't get it. Um, frustration just seeping out of my pores.
Yeah.
But I thought that was hilarious because today's topic of talking about trying to have perfection and wanting things perfect, I thought was very interesting. So that is a great segue. And I took notes because I like to, at least have something to talk about and start down this topic and not ramble. Um, but like proving yourself to other people, like how has that been like an issue for you? Or I don't even know what you want to call it, if it was an issue or not.
Oh yeah, it was definitely an issue. Um, I felt it more when I was in college because there was a title that I was trying to uphold for a year, and I had this image in my head of what I thought it should be based off of, people who were in that position prior to me. And then when I got in the position, it was like, well, I have to look this way. I have to present myself this way. I have to wear, these clothes. And mind you, I didn't have the money, and I was going to the thrift store.
Ain't
And
nothing wrong with that.
ain't
We
nothing wrong
still
with it.
thrifting.
We're still doing it, and still ain't got money, but
Amen. Somebody. Praise God for the gifts.
but yeah, like just trying to fill those roles and be perfect and meet the standards of what I felt like other people had of this position. That was challenging. I was stressed all the way out.
How did you get the idea of perfection in your head in the first place?
Mm, Probably looking at somebody else, which is funny because none and every one of us perfect.
Looking for perfection and imperfection.
Imperfect people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I meant. Y'all gonna figure it out. But yeah, and that's so funny because like I would look for perfection not so much in people, but it was more or less in my creativity.
Yeah.
And I think it started with me when I was doing a lot of sketches and stuff. But it's funny because like I would do it just for outlet. I would never try to create anything for clout or prestige or try to get noticed.
Yeah.
But it was literally like I'm upset. I need to get this out,
Right.
and that's where it came from.
Yeah.
But I would study again, looking for perfection in imperfect people. I would study like Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and all of these different artists, and look at the works that they've created over time and like their book of work. But it was so interesting because later on, when you really start studying it, you realize that they didn't even create half of that stuff.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they were the mastermind behind it, but they had a team.
Oh, yeah, I rememsistine you telling me that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like the Sistine Chapel, there was no way he could have created all that by himself. So somebody could have been focused on color. Somebody could have been focused on the layout. Somebody could have been focused on just getting the perspective together. Like I don't know everybody's role.
So,
But
do you think that he just like uh drew it on like
he
paper
could have.
first, like the whole concept, and then had different people execute it though?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
it's like I've never seen it in person. I really want to go. I
Yeah.
think that'd be really dope.
Yeah.
But there's so many blocks. And it's not just the ceiling. Like it's a lot of stuff. So there's no way he could have executed that in the time frame he was given
Right.
in order to make everything happen. So, but then all of them had problems. A lot of them had daddy issues, like family issues, dynamics. Someone was considered crazy. Like, so it was just like everybody was imperfect, but not knowing the backstory and not being there, you would naturally assume like, oh man, this guy is amazing because you see the work.
Yeah.
I also think of like sports figures. I mean, I gotta love them. No knock. I'm not coming against nobody.
Yeah.
But you look at like Jordan, you look at Kobe, you look at LeBron. Even LeBron lately with everything going on with him, talking about his son and stuff like that. Like none of them are perfect, but the
Right.
book of work makes us look at them with perfection in our eyes, as if they're like God's gift. But they're just
Human beings.
they might be a gifting, but they're not God's gift per se. Like gift esque. A piece. But there's something else I was thinking about was like the actual definition of perfection. And you know me, I like going in depth and like be like, hey, what is perfection exactly? I've been on this whole kick with synonyms and you know proper terminology and all that kind of stuff. But the ability to see, hear, and become aware of something. Oh, that's perception. Dang. Google, man. It'll jack you up.
That's okay. You ain't got to be perfect.
Such a much. Trying to be something. This ain't that. Denoting or relating to an aspect or what the heck? Perfection.
It did it again.
It did. There we go. Look at me. Look at me. Nowhere near. I ain't God's gift. I'm, I'm something. I got his consciousness, but I ain't his gifted. That's the Lord. That's the Christ. Perfection. The condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. All flaws or defects. That's a lot. And I think it's interesting because people say words like, oh, you're perfect, or you sing so well, and stuff like that. Like, okay, might be touchy. Hope it's not a trigger.
Oh Lord.
So, like, if you guys don't know, my wife used to sing at churches and whatnot, and sing at
Clubs,
clubs and
wedding
weddings
receptions,
and
events.
funerals,
Yep.
all types of places. How did you feel when people came up to you talking about, oh my God, you sing so amazing, you sound so perfect, and blah, 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 blah?
I sometimes didn't know how to respond
Really?
because no, seriously, especially okay. So in high school, just for context, I didn't think I could sing that great, especially listening to some other people.
Oh, there it goes again.
Exactly. Comparing
The
comparing
competition
to
is the spirit of Jezebel.
well, I
I
wasn't
don't know, but it's the spirit of something.
but no, I wasn't like trying to compete with other people, but comparing myself to other people and where I was on my journey with singing and my voice,
Yeah.
it wasn't in my eyes as good as others. Now, along the way, I got better because I went to college and studied it and learned and practiced. So I got better. But when people would come up to me and say, "You're so this, you're so that," I'm like, "Thanks, I guess."
So what was that though? Like, was it just? I know I'm like prodding and poking,
Go ahead.
but for a reason. Was it because of you didn't like the way you sound?
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't think like for the longest time I was content with my
Gotcha.
my voice. I don't think I was comfortable with my voice, because it didn't have all the bells and whistles.
So what bells and whistles are those? You gotta help me out with that one. I don't even understand that.
It didn't have like, so sometimes I would sing flat.
Okay.
Sometimes I didn't have as much control as others had, in terms of like, doing the runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I just
Overrated. Do. Over. Listen.
and I did feel like I fit in some places.
Okay.
So I tried different types of singing. So I tried classical. What else? Jazz, R&B, gospel.
Which one you like the most?
A combo pack.
Really?
Yeah, it's a combo pack.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think there's just like one.
Just one.
No, it's a combo pack.
So when you tried all of those, like, you just felt like you just weren't up to par with all of them, or just like,
Yeah. I don't know if there's like one style that I feel like maybe somebody else like, but I don't think there's like one style that I feel like, or genre I would say that it's just like
just blew out the water.
you go in that area, like, cause that's you all day. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, that's a really good wow. I felt like I didn't want to be down in a specific genre either.
Mm.
So I would try my hand at so many different medias
Yeah.
as a visual artist.
Mm-hmm.
It's wall, t-shirts, apparel, paintings, like it didn't matter, but I didn't want to pigeonhole myself.
Yeah.
And then I started looking at like how God created everything, Genesis 1, all that good stuff. In the beginning God created. But he didn't pigeonhole himself either. So I was like, if I have his
Mm.
likeness, do I have to pick one lane?
Mm-mm.
Or can I pick all of them? Now, granted, when you pick all of them, you're not really considered quote unquote like a, I don't know, perfectionist or, a master in
Yeah.
that area, but you're more or less of a jack of all trades in multiple. But I don't know. I think like the design side, I felt like I'm good enough
Mm-hmm.
to deliver
Yeah.
whatever I create. But when it comes to mastering and trying to figure out every nuance of it, I don't even know if that's even important anymore.
Mm.
I used to think it was
Yeah.
from a creative aspect and trying to be a master or creative in a specific area. But I was like, I don't even know if I even want that. Like, I don't even know if I want that concept.
So, okay, what would you say? Because I feel like this um, being excellent.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
For what reason?
yeah. Right.
Who knows?
Be doing things with excellence
Yeah.
compared to being perfect.
Well, excellence, again,
What's the difference?
you want to excel with excellence. And you want to be the best you can be.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to spend time with it, you're going to work at it.
Yeah.
Perfection could definitely be another synonym, per se.
Mm.
I don't know if it is or not. But I think one of them, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it. So excellent, excelling is something. I think both of them are just related to time. How much time you give it.
Mm.
And then also the thought behind whatever you're trying to do. And does it overtake you and now it becomes an idol of
Mm-hmm.
perfection
Yeah.
and you're absorbed by it so much that you don't know how to do anything else.
Mm.
And then you like God created everything and it was I just had this thought today because it was in it was Genesis 2:2 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
God rested on the Sabbath day. And it was like, what's God's definition of perfection? And I was really thinking about
Mm.
that. Like his definition of perfection, I believe, is be ye perfect for I am perfect. Matthew 5:48.
I've struggled with that one.
Well,
Oh
here's
my
the thing.
gosh.
Understanding what perfection really is to God means maturity, wholeness, and reflection of God's creation or God's character. I'll say that, God's
All
character.
right.
So it's a reflection piece. So when he says be ye perfect or be ye holy, he's saying be mature.
Mm.
He's not saying perfect because how can a flawed entity or a flawed person be perfect? There's no way.
And what was it saying in Hebrew?
Right. That's what maturity.
That's what it.
That's the translation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So be ye mature. So when I became a child, when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Yeah.
Well, that's maturity.
Yeah.
It's not perfection because there's no
Mm.
perfect man. I just stopped doing things that weren't relevant anymore as a grown up.
Okay.
Right. So, and it's more or less your character, how you handle things, your humility, your emotional. What is that? What is that new trend? Emotional awareness, or what is it?
I think I
You
said it
know,
today. Is it regulation?
I don't
Emotional
know.
regulation?
Emotional
No,
something.
emotional IQ.
Oh, Jesus, whatever that means. Right, whatever that means. Just being aware. Okay,
Yeah.
just aware of who you are, aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
But I think the other side is how you're focused on what's important,
Mm.
and then you're prioritizing the necessary things. Excellence, I believe, has to deal with more of you just want to excel.
Mm.
It almost can be at any cost. And that's why I said it depends on your mindset. And it
Mm.
depends on what's driving you. Again, basketball players. Kobe was one of them. Jordan was one of them. They excelled at any cost. They wanted to win at any cost.
Mm.
But they weren't winning against people. They were winning against
Against
themselves
themselves.
because they were constantly challenging themselves to be better. So if I'm going to challenge myself to be better, I'm going to strive for excellence. But the goal is don't lose yourself in striving for excellence and negate everything else. And most of the time, you see a lot of that. And then we look at the Rolodex of everything you've done
Mm-hmm.
over the years and look at your portfolio and be like, oh, man, that's amazing. But your family is in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
Like your kids don't like you. You barely know what's going on in your household. Like you're forgetting what the foundational things are and you're just striving for excellence.
Mm.
And the same thing could be said for perfection. But if you're not prioritizing what's important,
Yeah.
perfection doesn't even matter. Because like I look at like how you were saying like with your voice, what you were singing, who was it perfect for? Why were you singing in the first place? And I used to think about it because like when I met you, you were singing in weddings, and it seemed like you always came back with a most of them. You always came back with a happy story, give or take a handful, right? Mostly because of family members that was there, but the dynamic was you enjoyed what was going on, and you were there because you liked singing and seeing people happy, and
Yeah.
it's a joyous occasion.
Right.
The problem is, if it's not a joyous occasion, are you still gonna be joyous?
Listen, cause I had a moment. Okay, can we bunny drill real quick?
You said what?
Can we bunny drill?
Yeah,
So one moment where I wasn't perfect,
yeah.
um, this woman, she stopped me, and it wasn't even my singing wasn't perfect. It was my choice of song wasn't perfect for the occasion.
Boo,
Come on.
boo.
so
Sit
so
down.
so mind you, it was at the end of the reception. We were practically like looking for songs to sing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't hardly anybody in there. Like lights were on. Like
They shutting down.
we about done.
They taking out the
Right.
trash.
At this time, we just passing time pretty much. And I start singing "I Will Survive," and
I don't know much about that song, but
so
what's
first
the
one was
meaning?
made. I
What's
will
the meaning?
survive.
I know the song, but like, what's the meaning behind it?
So the meaning, what happened is she was in a relationship with this guy, and he was doing her wrong basically,
Okay.
and so she was just like, "No, give me back the keys. We're done. It's
I
over."
will survive.
Yeah, she was, and
Gotcha.
you thought I could, wouldn't survive without you, but I
Mm,
ended up, I survived.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm gonna survive. Like I'll be fine
Mm-hmm.
basically. And so this woman comes up to me and she's standing in front of me, like probably like where the end of that mic is. She's
Good gosh, she in your space.
yeah, where the end of or the like the end of the mic.
Oh, like down here.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, that's still pretty close.
Yeah, you still in my bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5. You right on the edge of 5 foot.
And I was just, and she's just standing there with this glare on her face, looking at me like, and she starts shaking her head, and I'm like, and she's standing there like she's like almost like waiting for me to stop and like come and talk to her, like.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, all right.
Karen, go on now.
Yep.
Go on, Karen. Go on now.
So I was like, okay, let me stop and just see what she needs. And so I bend over like from the mic and she's like, "How dare you?" And I was like, "Huh?" "How dare you sing a breakup song at a reception, a wedding reception?" Just going off on me. And I was like, okay.
They're taking out the trash. No one's here.
Oh my God.
It's just you, Karen. Go home.
hollering. So I back up and I kind of turn around to the band. I was like, "Mm," like stop playing Ixnay on the Survivor Ray.
We gotta survive. Karen gonna do something. She gonna mix up our XLR cables or something.
Listen, and she was just like, and so we started literally stopped in the middle of the song and started playing something else. But later on, I think it was like the grandmother of the bride or something. She came up to me and she was just like, "Don't mind her." She was just like, "Yeah, this, don't mind her." She was like, "This dynamic is different because basically the bride, or I think it was like one side of the the wedding party just did not show up.
Oh.
Like it was either the groom's family or the bride's family, but one side just the whole like,
Oh, this was an agreement.
yeah, nobody showed up. They was just like, we not. So it was like a different dynamic in that whole situation. Anything, it was not perfect. And so, but that was like one time where I felt horrible. You couldn't tell me anything. Like,
Yeah.
even with the grandmother coming up to me and just like trying to console me, because I was so in shock. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know. Like, I
Man,
messed up. Like, I don't
we
know.
be letting
Like,
them Karens get in the way, man.
I'm hollering.
Karen got gone, man. Get the hell on, Karen. Get the hell on. You're not welcome here, Karen.
Oh my gosh.
The Lord loves you. However, I will knock your out. Gone. You ruining the moment. This ain't even your family, Shirley. Who is you?
I think she was an auntie. Oh my gosh.
Go on, Karen.
But yeah, I think you know, when it's pointed out to me that, I'm not, even if I wasn't necessarily in the wrong, you know
Right.
what I mean?
Whatever that means.
Right, right. It's
Yeah.
still like being okay with not being perfect
Yeah.
and making a mistake and being like, and having to be like, I apologize, or whatever, or you know what I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
or even if it's like when it comes to like being a creative, like
Yeah.
I remember I was at a Stevie Wonder concert and he
I was
was,
hoping he's gonna bring that up because
yeah.
it's so dope.
It blesses
Yeah.
me. Oh man, every time I think about it. And mind you, I took my mom for her birthday and we were literally in the last row. I could touch the ceiling.
Praise God.
Right. But it was the best seat ever. Cause I could see everything in it, even though he was so far away. But but he was like singing one of his songs and he messed up his own lyrics that he wrote after singing
That's
it for
crazy.
decades.
That is so crazy.
And you know what he said? Oops. It kept singing.
I don't know if he probably felt that way, maybe because he was blind. He didn't care. I can't see them, so I don't know how many people here.
Exactly.
Or he was just comfortable enough just to mess up on his own stuff.
Yeah, man.
Either way, it's kinda dope.
It blessed. If I mean, I felt so free after seeing that. Him being like, "Oops, oh well," like like
That's crazy.
somebody like what?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
I think that's the part, like, man, I be thinking about that because I remember I used to mess up a lot drawing. Like, a lot. Like, a whole lot. I mean, obviously, you learn how to draw.
Yeah.
I've been drawing for a while, like, since I was in a high chair in pews as a kid. Like, I was always drawing. I remember drawing stuff. I would mess up. And I don't know if I just cared to try to really fix it and try to perfect it and be like, oh snap, somebody's gonna see it and they're gonna call it out.
Yeah.
They never called it out.
Never.
And I realized what perfection really was in my eyes. It was trying to be perfect for someone else. And it had nothing to do with me just enjoying the process. And that came about when I started doing more like commission work and like working for people and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. When I had those moments, it was like I was doing like expos and my stuff was like as a kid. Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm editing the video you are currently watching, and a slight mishap. I did lose some of the actual video that came across. So, right now at this portion, it got cut off. And then we start talking about some things related to mental health and therapy, all how it correlates to perspective within being perfect. If you want to hear the full audio, check out the podcast. It has a full audio. You don't have to worry about the video. But if you want to see the video, apologize. But we're about to jump right back into it where we're leaving off talking about therapy and how it relates to being perfect. Peace.
Oh yeah, but yeah, some people they just don't have the tools or the understanding or the grace or the um the capacity to handle what you need to talk about. In comes counselor.
No, and I think that's a great point because we would like for our spouses
Mm-hmm.
and our friends and family
Yeah.
to counsel us, but I think it is a point where you do need somebody to be a mediator
Yeah.
and then come from a different perspective because somebody might just not
Yeah. Some people are too close.
too close to
Yeah,
company,
it's too
too close to
and you might
company.
have biases and other
Yeah,
things that come into play,
yeah, that's a
but
good
yeah,
point.
but back to perfection.
Like doing something and just being like, oh, I gotta add something else. Oh, I gotta add something else. I get ideas come, but when do we know when to just stop? And the item is mature. It's done.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think God was kind of showing us that because obviously it's God. He created everything. He could
Yeah.
have kept going
Right.
to the point where he's just like, man, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Lord, all right, it's a little full over here. Okay, the earth is fulfilled full, like it's overflowing. But it was like everything he created had a beginning, had an end, had a cycle. So once the cycle was completed, it was done,
Mm.
and then something new came, and then it was done, and something new came. So it
What do you
was
mean by something new
so
came?
like I'm thinking like trees or like animals or like people when you're born, and then also when you die, and then when you're born, when you die, and the
But he didn't
seed.
create the death though.
Well,
When he created the world though.
was everything supposed to just continue? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking in terms of people. I'm not even thinking in terms of plants.
Yeah, because like he didn't say that. I mean, they would have to die if you ate them. They're gonna be alive in you,
Will it become
still
fertilizer?
growing. Death, death. Okay, I almost smell that. That's death. I wonder what they.
Scurvy.
That's a segue, but if they ate fruit back in there, like did they poop really stink like ours do? Because they had better fruit in the garden. I
Oh,
don't
you
know.
smell sweet.
Sweet, savory fruit that smell like roses really smell like boo boo boo. Let me get back on track. But yeah, like when to finish, and I think that
Hmm.
was something else that I was thinking about when I create something, like when to stop
Yeah.
and not just keep going and keep going and keep
Hmm.
going. Like, do you ever feel like you've not known when to stop, or you was like, I ain't got no problem with that?
Yeah, with songs of creating music.
Really?
Hmm. Like, do I add to it, tweak it? You know, left it alone for a while, went back and like, nah, I think I'm gonna add something to it. I'm gonna change it a little bit. Or poems, like
Mm.
same way, changing the words, changing how I said something.
Mm.
Um, and it could be that just the way I view things has evolved or changed,
Yeah,
and so now the work is changing and evolving.
that's good. The work.
Yeah.
So, were you doing it to fulfill your own thing, or were
Yeah, it was
you?
just a
Was it?
creative thing.
Got you.
It wasn't like to impress anybody or anything
Got
like
you.
that. Yeah, at that time, like I was just creating just to create, and it was just like, nah, I think I want to change this.
Hmm. What was the spark from? If you could recall, like an example or
Mm.
something.
So the only thing I can think of is like when I would initially like have a song or a melody and I would record it on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go back into the studio and record it, and it would sound just slightly different.
Mm.
It's kind of like that.
Got you.
It's like, the rough draft of it, granted, at that time, it was in my head, I might have been thinking, like, oh, yeah, I like the way this sounds. And then I go back, like, maybe months, sometimes even years later,
Mm-hmm.
and start working on it. And it's totally different. It's slightly the same, but, it's a little different.
Like, what the hell is this? Who made this? Who wrote this? I didn't write this. Sound like Trump. Who made this bill? I didn't write this bill.
Oh, screw.
Yes, you did write this bill.
Stop. Oh my gosh.
I just think it's interesting because it's like I know she just keeps calling. I'll answer in a minute. I'm gonna just tell that. I'll call you later. But perfection and performance, perfection and creativity, like I feel it all has like the same look and feel. And then it all has the same like energy that you give it, and then also just not knowing when to stop. So like if you had to like sum it up with our conversation, because I got more, but I think we're good. It's just like, okay, what would you say you would tell your younger creative self or another creative? I'll say that. You're mentoring another creative that's a vocalist. What would you tell them about perfection?
Is that you don't have to be it. You don't have to be perfect. You can be free just to express, to sing the song. Like, in that moment, like, yeah, grow, evolve, learn, but you don't have to just, I gotta,
Yeah.
like, no. And I think too, like, for certain settings, like, and for certain genres, it's like, sing it like this. It's like, da, da, da,
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to just sing it, like, especially if you're, so for me, like, singing was a outlet, like art was your outlet. But just to release it in its rawest form, like, because I feel like you can tie your identity to being perfect sometimes.
That's good.
And you don't have to.
That's really good. Wow. So if I had to tell a visual creative about perfection, what would I tell them? It's fictitious. It's not real. Um, until you have a standard, I think of children. When they create as babies,
Yeah.
infants, toddlers, there's literally no standard.
No.
Like none. Like free will to create. That's
Yeah.
probably its purest form.
Exactly.
Because they don't even have the capacity or the understanding to like take in ideas to make it happen.
And they don't understand judgment.
Like,
It being
yeah.
judged
Yeah.
based off of their performance.
Oh God. Ugh.
That word.
Oh God. That's another podcast in itself. We can talk for a month. But yeah, it's just like it's so freeing to know that you can just be and just have free will to create, and no one's sitting there trying to critique you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where perfection can help you get it wrong, because now you're trying to march towards a goal or a vision if you get it from somebody else. Now, if you over time develop this perfectionism because of what you've seen, again, you're getting it from somebody else. Enjoy being in the moment. enjoy no critiques,
Yeah.
enjoy creativity at its purest form,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that's personally what God is wanting you to do.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you allow another entity that is literally like you, man, to judge you, like you're losing yourself based on their thought.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not get it twisted. Creativity is all subjective.
Right.
Like no one holds the patent on
Mm-hmm.
creativity other than God.
Yeah.
And then even with that, I think God gives you the free reign to create within the environment that He's given you,
Mm-hmm.
with all of the different materials that He's given at your access. So now He's allowing you to evolve.
Yeah.
But it's just fictitious. Like I
Yeah.
don't even think you need to even worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw that mug to the back.
I've learned a lot about creativity um, and perfectionism and how to like let things go when it comes to this house.
Oh Lord.
Because there are a lot of things that are not perfect that we did, and and I had and just being okay with it. Like it's all right. It's our house.
Yeah, there's a lot of baseboards that need some work up in this bad boy. I don't know who did it, Chris.
Oh my
Whew.
goodness.
Let's not look up at the ceiling. Just keep the
but
lights
but here's the
dim.
thing. It was already imperfect from jump.
You daggone right it was. We took down those cabinets
So
and they
it's a
had duct tape with wires sticking out of them. I will never forget that. Okay? Niggas. That's all I'm going to say. Niggas
Chris.
rigged the house for selling. Okay? Niggas.
Uh,
Could have burnt down the house. Live wires hanging out the ceiling with duct tape.
I shouldn't have got you started.
I'm sorry. I had to segue. Let me make sure we still recording. They get this. Yeah, we got it. Jesus. Niggas. And duct tape.
You got that out your system.
It's probably still a little bit in there, but
Oh goodness. Grace and peace.
we gonna add gravy and let it marinate.
Okay.
All right, add some carrots and make some succotash.
In the world.
I don't know, Kristen. I'm trying to figure out meat for the longest.
Succotash.
Well, you know, we got carrots and beans and green beans and corn. I think it's succotash. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay.
We're gonna let it marinate
All right.
and add some seasoning. But go ahead.
I'm done.
Okay. Well, that's all I got. Well, thank you for tuning in to the first podcast with me and Kristen for Strategies for Creatives, where we'll be talking about multiple things around creativity. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff if you want. If you don't, all good.
Yep.
Still
Peace
be
out.
here either way, sitting on this comfy couch. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Peace.